Hi, hello, and welcome to another RuPaul's Drag Race but Pedestrian. This week's runway category was Everybody Say Glove. So we're going to do a look inspired by gloves. But it's going to be wearable. So if that sounds good, let's go ahead and get into the look and what we thought of the episode. To start my base, I am starting out with the Exa High Fidelity Foundation and mixing in a little bit of this Charlotte Tilbury oil because this foundation is a little dry on my skin. Right, this week's Maxi Challenge was finally one of my favorite challenges, which is the Rusical. I love musicals. I was in a couple musicals in college. I was the witch in Into the Woods, and they're doing a parody of Footloose called Wig Loose. Naturally, the producers say you guys can duke it out as to who gets what part. We have another We Won't Meddle situation where Lux and Lucy want the same role of Heaven Bacon, which is the main character, and Lux is like, just be real, you only want it because it's the main character. You don't identify with this character. Mistress takes this as her opportunity to jump on the bandwagon and be like, yeah, girl, you're not being honest right now. And Lucy is super highly offended by that. And they kind of get into it. I don't know if it's the edit or if it's really how it's going down, but Lucy is seemingly the most affected by the competition right now. Probably doesn't help that Mistress is just one of those queens who likes to pick on people, and it's not out of malice, it's just like how she is. And some people can let it roll off their back and understand that she's just joking around, it's a competition, and then others are like, you're attacking me as a person. Lux and Lucy kind of state their cases as to why they should each have the star role, and Lux is like, you know what? We all say that anybody can do any role and work it, so go ahead, you have the main role. I'll take one of the lesser roles, and good luck. My favorite part of this episode was getting to build more on Anitra's story. She was not like my initial #1 favorite, but as the weeks go by, I find myself more and more connected with her story and just her as a person. You know, she's kind of quiet, but really makes an impact when she needs to. Anitra is becoming like one of my top 3 favorites. So I always enjoy getting to hear her perspective, and she kind of decides to take on the role in the Rusical because she kind of wants to put out into the world what she felt like she didn't get, especially concerning her sexuality and her drag. So this whole episode was kind of building for Anitra to have a beautiful moment, and did she ever. I use my Huda Beauty concealer. I wear the shade Marshmallow. So we get into the queens learning the choreography, and everybody's kind of shocked because they're like, wow, Anitra can like throw it down, is one of the best dancers on Drag Race just in general, but choreography is a whole different ballgame for her because it was like a deer in the headlights moment. Mistress kind of struggled too. Even if I was getting it, I probably wouldn't let the girls in on it. If I were competing and there were $200,000 on the line, I would be like, oh yeah, I totally don't get this, I ain't gonna do so bad, and then bam, whip it out, like, oh, poor choice of words, and then and then be like, amazing on stage, right? I heard from Sasha in the Roscoe's viewing party that they had to perform the Rusical twice, which really is not too bad. I've heard previous seasons have had to go through it multiple times to get all the shots, so the fact that they could do it twice and get what they needed was pretty good. I'm going to bronze with my Makeup by Mario Sculpt Stick in Light. And it was so good that the judges were like kind of godsmacked after they watched it, claiming it was one of the best in the franchise history, which it's probably not my favorite Rusical. Don't ask me to name one because I can't. There's so many that are so good, but it was really good, to be fair. Mistress as preacher teacher stepped up and was the typical mistress that we're used to seeing. She might have had some trouble learning the choreo, but when it came down to the final performance and what actually mattered, she rocked it out. That was like the perfect role for her, and she knew it. Nobody contested her. It's like, yep, that's the role. I thought that Lucy did a fantastic job as Heaven Bacon. The lead role, she's in boy drag most of the time. She had really good facial expressions while she was lip syncing. She was really in the character and in the moment. Even though she had a hat on, you could see all those expressions. Thought she did great. And Sasha choosing Carl was like an unexpected role for her. She knew what she was doing when she chose to be the husband who secretly does drag on the side. Like, she knew that being dressed up like a man and transforming into her beautiful self would be very impactful, and it worked. She was great. I know that she's done some like musical theater with Sasha Velour in the past, and that really came to play. She looked like it was just natural for her. I'm going in with my sugar cookie powder from Huda Beauty as well. But truly, the person that evoked the most emotion out of me as the viewer was Anitra. Now, she's been called out previously for her RBF, but she seems so happy and playing this motherly kind of role. It really came across genuine, and her solo moment was a true moment for her. I found myself getting a little choked up watching Anitra. Felt like we were watching her just kind of blossom within this episode. And unfortunately, Lux and Selena had smaller roles where they were like students of Preacher Teacher, and they introduced Heaven Bacon to the secret drag in the barn. I'm going to move on to highlight and using Ray Ryder from Kaleidos. I had the same issue with Lux that I've had many times, is that I feel like there's a little bit of overacting, but you know, in a musical, it's a little more forgivable. And Selena, to me, just did okay. I don't understand why she didn't like bring that same energy she had in the old lady girl group. To me, she did much better there. And maybe it was the difference of lip syncing her own words versus lip syncing a track that was already prepared for them. As I move on to the blush, I'll let you in on my glove inspiration. It is a yellow kitchen glove, so I'm going yellows and probably some gloss on the lid for like the rubberness of the glove, but I want to do yellow blush, which is a choice. I've done yellow blush before. It can be pretty. Will it be this time? We shall see. I have all my cream shadows from Ma Beauty. I'm going to take this pastel yellow, put it on the back of my hand. Then I can go in with a blush brush and work from there. Just kind of going with the flow here. Birds outside my window are so loud, but I don't mind it, not one bit. So, like I said, the category on the runway is Everybody Say Glove, kind of a parody of when Ru says Everybody Say Love. Lucy is the first one down the runway. She comes down wearing a green swimsuit. She says she's inspired by a sea creature, and she does have the webbed gloves. I agree with a lot of the commentary that I've seen that she needed to take it just a step further. She wasn't even wearing fishnets. Like, fishnets would have been really nice, and maybe even some flippers on her feet. Her makeup looked really beautiful, but it was just kind of a safe look. Going in with this IBY Beauty Boho palette, taking the yellow, more of an earthy yellow in contrast with this like pastel that I have on. So I'm going to tap this over the top. And then we have Anitra's look, which was like a blue two-piece with blue gloves, and the gloves had like little laser lights in them. She looked absolutely beautiful. She had lasers on the side of her head and in her palms. It just didn't come across as bold as she had probably hoped on the bright lights of the runway. Mistress comes in and her look is absolutely stunning. A beautiful yellow gown. The yellow gloves were attached and the gloves she was wearing had just diamonds dripping from them. I thought that it was exceptional, but I also felt like because it was like from neck down yellow, that the gloves maybe could have been a different color just to contrast with the yellow a little bit, so they stood out more. Other than that, it fit her amazingly. Beautiful, stunning, gorgeous. For my eyes, I'm going to take this makeup crayon from C'est Moi Beauty in the shade Daffodil. Then Lux comes down and she's wearing like a punk rock kind of look, and her arms are wrapped up in casts, which is a cast the same thing as a glove? Not really, but I appreciate her trying to be different. Since I'm being nitpicky, I probably would have liked if even her fingers were in little casts too. That way it did look more like a glove, but I liked the look overall. Then Selena has a jumpsuit on it, and it has like a face on it. It's like pleather, and then she has these just absolute monstrosities of these giant gloves, but it fit the theme. Aside from one other queen, can you guess it? It's Sasha, because I haven't got to her yet. I felt like Selena really fit the brief better than a lot of her peers. You couldn't get away from the fact that she had followed the everybody say glove assignment. She said, you wanted gloves? Okay, how big? It was fun, and I thought her makeup looked really good. Her body looked great. I liked the hair. I mean, I liked everything, really. But me and probably the rest of everyone else watching were gagged when Miss Sasha Colby stepped on that stage wearing an outfit made entirely out of baseball gloves. Maybe some mitts in there too, but you know, she looks stunning. And it's hard because she always looks stunning. She knows what she's doing, and she's doing it well. Let me try to give her a critique. So it looked like she still had the makeup on from the Rusical, so maybe she didn't have time to redo her face in between. That would be my only critique, is that I didn't 100% like the makeup with the gloved outfit, but you know what? That's just me trying to find something. It's this super cool shade that will never translate on camera how cool it is, from TERRA Moon Cosmetics in the shade Astral. It looks white, but there is some yellow reflect in there. I'm going to take it and go around my edge. Ooh, yellow and pink. Go around my edges and in the inner corner. It's a duochrome. We all knew it was coming, but this was the episode where Ru just casually says, all right, tell me which of your castmates should go home and why. So a lot of people say, you know, Selena hasn't been doing that well. She doesn't have any challenge wins. Sasha go the route of, well, you know what? I would send Lucy and Lux home because they have the most wins and they're creeping up as competition. Selena in Untucked was really not happy about this. And I know it sucks to have to say somebody should go home, but it's part of the game. And at this point in season 15, you kind of know that it's coming up. So just say somebody, and if your name is said, you can't let it get to you personally, or else you're going to crumble, right? So for the rubber effect, I'm adding the About Face vinyl effect. Vinyl gloves are a thing. Sure. And this is a clear gloss for the eyes. I'm going to use the same brush I was using to apply that yellow and get us a glossy moment going on. Of course, this does take it a step out of pedestrian, but I want it to look like plastic. Might as well make it look cool if they're going to grease anyway. So after the judges deliberate, we have Lucy and Selena in the bottom. Now, I don't think Lucy deserved to be in the bottom. I thought she did a really great job. Who would I put in her place? I don't know. I mean, the only other person that didn't impress me that much was Lux, and the reason I felt that is because I felt like she was doing another case of overacting like she did when her and Lucy were in the comedy challenge. Maybe I would have put Lux in the bottom, but Lucy and Selena had to lip sync against each other this week, and it was running up that hill. If I only could. And I thought they both stank. Neither of them, like... Okay, so Selena did the Celine Dion ballad, but she made it funny. So I was kind of expecting that from her on this song. There's a lot of repeated lyrics, and there's a lot of opportunity for, like, interpretive lip syncing, if you will. But she really went more serious, and Lucy did as well. And that made for a boring lip sync. They both just kind of stood there. Neither of them ran up that hill. There was no running. At the end, Selena took off her gloves to reveal just smaller gloves underneath, which was, you know, at least it was something. Lucy didn't do anything, but Lucy ends up winning and staying, and Selena is asked to sashay away. She said in the confessionals that she was in her winning era, when in fact she was in her going home era. You know, and it seemed like after the fact she was really mad that the other girls said her name, that she should be the one to go home, and maybe she felt like that actually had some kind of impact, but I really don't think it did. I think that her and Lucy both did just mediocre, kind of at the same boring level in the lip sync, in that Lucy in the challenge did better than Selena did in the challenge. Lucy has some wins under her belt and Selena has none. I think that is really what it came down to. And for that, she can't blame anyone but herself. Before I put on some mascara, this ginormo mountain on my face is bothering me. So what I like to do is take a powdered foundation. This one is the E.L.F. Camo. I'm just going to take my ring finger and pick up some product and then tap it in. You can use your sponge too. That way it's just kind of concealed a little bit more. I'm going to go back into that palette in the kind of deeper yellow and buff that on the lower lash line. For mascara today, I'm trying for the first time the IT Superhero Mascara in the waterproof version. If you're wearing an eye gloss, you definitely want to wear a waterproof mascara, or else the moisture of the eye gloss could cause your curl to fall and maybe even your mascara to run. So it's just a good idea. I haven't even tried the original formula of this, but wow. That looks great. Great! I'm going to take another one of those makeup crayons, and this one's white in the shade Dove. A lot of times those rubber kitchen gloves have a white inside to them, or at least that's what I'm saying, so I can open up my eyes a little bit. And for the lip, I'm taking the SAIE Lip Blur in the shade Pop. It's a good contrasting color. Right, I decided to blur out the lip a little bit with just an eyeshadow brush. I added a little bit more yellow to the lid, but you can always get a better and closer look over here on my Instagram as I post a feed post of the look each week. Let me know what you thought about Selena going home. If you watched the show, what are your thoughts? Right now, current temperature in the room is that my top 4 are Mistress, Sasha, Anitra, and Lux. I think that Lucy's going to be the next to go home, but we'll see if I'm right in my predictions. I appreciate you so very much for watching. As always, be blessed and be kind, and we'll see each other again soon. Bye! Yellow. Yellow. My earrings are water bottles, and they're the cutest thing in the whole wide world.